Welcome home.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know that you'd noticed.
I did pick you up at the airport last night.
Yeah, that's
in the snow.
That's true. I didn't know if you'd remember, though.
I did get pretty used to being alone. I like being alone.
It was a long trip.
10 days is a long trip.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to go, not on that trip, but to see my own mother. Justin went to see
that
his
was the
mom,
plan.
and I was going to go to see my mom. But I was flying Southwest, and you
They-
probably heard the news. I mean, my flight didn't get canceled. I canceled it. But I just didn't want to go anywhere near that mess. So I stayed here. So I had 10 days of TV and baking cookies and playing bass and sleeping and staying up late and reading books and going for hikes. I loved it. I am a weirdo. I love being alone.
I like that for you, and it makes me like worry less about being gone that long. I mean, obviously the plan was you were going to be home.
Yeah.
We were going to overlap anyway, but I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, and here's how I'm an extra weirdo. I especially like being alone right around the Christmas, New Year's holiday.
Is that just because a normal schedule is disrupted? Like you don't have work?
Yeah, it's because the whole world is quiet. Everyone is focused on their families and their friends, and I get to just be like floating around independently, free to do anything at any time in the world.
I know.
Like it's this mental space. It's this reset, and it's the perfect time of year to do it. Short days, and you're kind of hibernating and thinking about the new year, and not exactly making resolutions, but making plans, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I had a great time.
I know. It's very different when sometimes I will I'll take a lot of gigs and stuff when you're going to be gone and I'm not going to be gone to just kind of occupy myself, but it winds up like not really being a break. Like there's no upside to having a few days by yourself because you're just working anyway, and it's just like...
So shout out to Justin's mom. I'm sure you already noticed that I'm wearing the gift you got me. I love this. It's so soft. This is for those who are listening and not watching, it is what is it called? Is it like a poncho?
I forget what they call it, but it's...
I mean, it's a turtleneck, like a cowl neck.
Uh-huh.
I guess poncho shawl kind of thing. Like, it's super soft.
But it's got a V shape, so it's not like like holding down your arms. And,
it's just like, it's so soft. And I wore it all day, and it's super warm and comfortable. So thank you.
And I got a scarf.
Perfect. You needed another one.
I did. Gosh, Florida was so cold.
Yeah.
We had a couple days that were warm. My brother went out and caught some trout and redfish. And,
you didn't do any work while you were there, did you?
I did nothing because I had a few things I should have done, but I was afraid to take my hard drive that has... most of the Half Zen stuff and and the projects that I needed to work on were on the hard drive that I was too afraid to take with me on the trip.
To travel with it?
To travel with it. Because if I lost it, and of course I could have backed it up, but I ran out of time. I didn't work. I didn't really touch a guitar. I didn't do anything, music-wise while I was gone, although right back to it today, but
yeah, you jumped right back into it. You have a lot to do before we go out of town.
Yeah,
again.
it's really... it is a lot.
Anyway, speaking of what I did during the break, I played a lot of bass. And I finally started learning how to actually slap. I mean, I've had some exercises that Nate gave me that I've been doing on and off for... It's over a year now. Like, I kind of touch on it. It doesn't come together. We did have an in-person lesson where he corrected my hand position, which helped a lot. But I think what I really needed was a couple of songs that I enjoyed playing that have a lot of slapping in them, and which I am under the threat of playing live in front of people. That makes all the difference. Like,
that's a good tip, actually, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one thing to like give yourself a project song that you're just going to play at home, and it's another one to be threatened by embarrassment in front of good musicians
Right.
So Pamela Makala and I'm in her band, and she's in like Boulder County, and we have a gig in Lyons at Oscar Blues in March, and we're going to need to add a lot of songs for that because it's probably twice as much music as we've ever played before in that band. So
you're covering the whole night.
We're covering the whole night, and one of the songs thrown out was Peg by Steely Dan. So I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm gonna better practice every day until I leave because this is a whole new set of skills for me. So in spite of the fact that I kind of been working on it on and off, it never come together because I never just like sat down and was like, I am gonna figure this out, get the muscle memory going, and it's starting to come along. I had to figure out a little difference with what I was doing with my index finger, my first finger. So the problem I was having at first was my thumb was in the wrong place, so it was kind of out of control. So Nate fixed that months ago, and then the problem I was running into now was my finger would sometimes get caught under the string and pluck it really hard, and sometimes it would barely pluck it at all.
Right.
Just completely inconsistent volumes, and that would affect my rhythm too because it would get stuck. So what I'm doing now is I'm using the side of my finger. So I'm kind of sliding up the string on the side of my first finger rather than like literally trying to like get under it.
Oh, interesting.
And that is hopefully when Nate and I have a lesson, he'll say it's okay to do it that way, but it seems to be working a lot more consistently for me.
Yeah, that's funny because I have a different, I do the chicken pickin' country stuff, which is essentially slapping for guitar. Like really a lot of the sound of that is you're doing that same, you're kind of lifting the string and letting it pop against the fretboard, and that's where like kind of the attackiness of the notes. And I found that where I would get that same inconsistency is I was letting too much fingertip get into it, and I really had to like learn to use the nail and do it like a lot less hard so you don't rip your nail off. I mean, I always wear my nails down when I do it, but yeah, it's interesting that it's a little, obviously it would be different. The strings are totally different sizes. Yeah. And you're going for a different sound. So I heard some of it. It's going amazing.
I think I'm getting better every day right now. I'm in the rapid growth portion of learning this skill.
You pull off one of those little triplety.
Chicka-chicka.
Yeah, chicka-chicka.
Yeah. That was well, it follows, let's see. No, I've got Peg in my head right now. That was on Virtual Insanity.
Virtual Insanity.
Oh, yeah. So it does an octave, pop, slap. No, slap, pop. And then 8-5-1. And that one is a pop, slap, slap. Pop, slap, slap. Right? So finger, thumb, thumb. And then it goes chicka-chicka and like hits... So that's so let's see, it goes, let's see, slap, pop, slap, slap, pop, slap, pop, slap.
And that's what's so interesting. I mean, I'm just hearing it now, hearing you talk about it. It's so similar to rudiments with drumsticks.
Yeah.
Where there's so many drum things where you're just going, well, it's just this hand sequence of, yeah, and you could do like, Ryan would get mad at me for saying it wrong, but like the triplet paradiddles where you would go right, left, you could go, it's not a paradiddle if you do it that way, but you could go right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, left to do your triplets, or you could go...
the paradiddle is right, left, right, right, left, right, left.
Yeah, so I said it wasn't paradiddle. But yeah, you can do, it's just these little sequences of rhythm things, and you put them together with all the other musical things, whether it's moving around a drum kit or like with slapping.
Yeah, then they become units in themselves.
That's exactly that's my point.
So like the tick-tick-boop is now a unit to my hand.
And I can throw that in,
here
and there and whatever. Yeah, it's one of those real building blocks of music and being a player.
Yeah.
And
then another one I'm working on is slap, and then with the left hand on the frets, I guess, I don't know what you'd call it, a hit or something. I mean, so
it's a dead note.
Bump chick tick bump chick, or bump chick bump chick bump chick, like going back and forth like that. That one I can do just fine on its own. It's just in context. I haven't worked it into the song yet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I do that a bit. It's just really fascinating. I'm glad you're working on that stuff. By the way, your tone is sounding great for that.
Thank you.
It really is like bright and clanky and all the things.
Yeah, I'm definitely listening for that as I practice.
It should be those things. I know it makes it harder because, the brighter your instrument is, the more
mess you can hear, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why that's one of the reasons I turn up the brightness when I practice.
Oh, that's so smart. That is very smart.
Yeah, I want to hear the mess so I can clean it up.
The finger noise and stuff. Yeah, that is really cool.
And the rough fret noises and stuff, the buzzes.
Yeah. Huh.
Just, all the slides. Anyway. So that was a big focus. And I let most of my other bass practice fall by the wayside. It's nice that I don't have any gigs to prepare for right now because instead of practicing, well, except for these two. Well, it's only really one of those songs I'm going to play in front of people, but I don't have like a whole set of music to learn for anything right now, so I can just focus on developing a skill. So I'm not even really working on anything else on bass. No new songs besides these. I'm not running my daily drills even. I am just like, every day I sit down and I slap for like an hour. And I think that's why I'm making fast progress. It's fun to dive in and focus and like level up on one thing rather than try to keep them all leveling up more slowly.
Right.
I'm just like pushing hard on one thing and seeing the results. Hee.
Yeah, as we always say, it's weird when you see results from hard work. No, it's a total joke.
Yeah.
Because you always that's all it is. Just work on it and it'll get better.
I know, you listen to us, you will hear gems of wisdom.
Gems of wisdom. Who know that practice paid off?
Ooh, yeah.
Speaking of my session, it was part of why I'm disheveled and late getting home. And anyway, I had a session this morning and we were working on a song, and out of the blue, they wanted to do this whole orchestral arrangement of,
wow.
Not really to acoustic singer-songwriter, but indie rock, like avant-garde kind of, not avant-garde, but indie rock kind of songwriter. Anyway, they had this whole idea for this, sounding very much like a movie soundtrack, whatever. And so I replayed some of the guitar and then just kind of played in on the keyboard, all the string sections and horn sections and kind of just literally just orchestrated it out with some little answer lines and stuff. And the artist had some great ideas, so we incorporated those. And it was all great. And they were like, wow, that's, they were like, kind of like, wow, that's cool that you can just do that. And I was telling the story that I don't think I've told on the podcast, which is that I did take 2 years of composition in college, even though I was not supposed to.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to take composition classes unless you had a performance degree, and I was not going to get a performance degree in classical guitar, which was the only option at the time. So I just kept taking these classes, and they'd be like, you can't take these classes, stop taking them, and I would just sign up again. And back in the old days, they didn't have the the computer system didn't talk so well, so you could anyway. The real story is that I got the whole thing basically done, and I tried to do a little arrangement change, and then a few things got messed up, and so I hit undo, and it froze and locked up.
Oh, no.
But I figured, Logic, but everybody, Pro Tools, they have really good auto saves now.
True, yeah.
To where every 5 minutes or so it's saving.
True.
So I was just like, force quit. I'm cool. I'll go back to 5 minutes. It didn't, for whatever reason, remember anything that I'd done for about 2 hours.
Oh, ouch.
So I lost literally 2 hours of playing in an entire orchestra part.
Ouch.
And luckily I remembered kind of exactly what everybody's job was and what everything was doing. So then when I got done with another client, I went back and replayed all the... And oddly enough, it really is... It doesn't have the... excitement and passion and whatever of that first time through, kind of some of the clever things that just that I didn't really mean to do that, but that actually works out really well. How this but having to do it again, it's so much more organized.
Oh yeah.
Because I had to approach it from, okay, I've basically written all the parts, so let me start back at the drums work it all up. And I think it wound up way better because it's less like a bunch of lucky accidents and more like, okay, let me start from the bottom and just replay each kind of step in building up this thing.
Yeah. I'm glad you could remember it all. That sounds like a nightmare.
It stuff like that to me, and this wasn't like, I don't want to act like whatever, but this wasn't like a super harmonically complex piece, right? So it wasn't like going through keys and all this stuff. It was staying in a few chords. I mean, it was doing a thing where it was going back and forth between major and minor all the time.
Oh,
cool. Which lets you, do all these cool chord movement things where you'd like sneaky half steps and stuff. But at the same time, we've talked about often how a song arrangement is like a visual picture for us. I think we both visualize it differently where the song I know how the song goes.
Because you know how it looks.
I know how it looks.
Yeah.
And very much like orchestral arrangements or any arrangements, like even band, like dudes playing guitars arrangements, like I see it. As much as I remember literally the notes, it's much more of a visual. It's almost kind of like a grid. There's like a grid system.
Yeah.
And I see this guy's going here, and this guy's going here, and this guy's going here.
Yeah, yeah.
So kind of remembering what was supposed to happen. But, oh my gosh, I have not seen that happen since like 15 years ago in the old days of like early Pro Tools and like...
Oh, seen it lose 2 hours of work?
Seen it lose like hours of work. That just doesn't happen, And... Sure enough, today it did, and those MIDI files were gone, and there were no backups, and and I Googled it for like 20 minutes, and then I just bit the bullet and was like, you know what, probably the fastest thing, maybe I can figure out some way to get my work back, but probably the fastest thing is to just redo, the parts, sometimes but there's so many disasters like that. That used to be like a major, major problem. I pulled a hard drive one time, important deadline. And back in the old days, you had separate racks of hard drives. And they locked so that, kind of like when you pull the thumb drive out of your computer and it gets mad at you. And it's like you pulled the thing too early and it was ejected without unmounting it.
Yeah.
Well, in the old days, if you pulled a disk drive without unmounting it, it would, in fact, lose information. And so I pulled a disk drive... out of the tower without thinking to like manually unmount it, and it kept all the audio, meaning all of the bits that were recorded still existed, but it lost all of where those bits went in the session. And so I got to spend literally an entire sleepless night re-putting this session together, like track by track, going like, okay, they got snare 6-05-01 was in that part, and then let me find that and manually put it back. In the old days of computers, it used to be way less. It was oddly nostalgic, being like, oh, well, it's ruined.
Just like it used to be.
Just like it used to be. So that was a heck of a tangent. Oh, so I did want to talk about how much I missed playing guitar. It was really bizarre. I do play guitar for work, and I complain about playing guitar. I complain about shows all the time. I mean, you're just like, I was just telling the story the other day. I was like, just trying to like push it out so we didn't have to go back for another song.
Yeah.
And then like to not play guitar really for 10 days. Boy, I am just so looking forward to just hanging out and playing some guitar for a few hours tonight. Like, it's really funny how much I enjoy doing that.
I know you love guitar more than you love me.
That's not true.
Equally as much?
You both have good points. It's not make it an either or.
If you had to choose.
Well, I don't have to choose. So.
Nice way to avoid the answer.
Of course, you know the answer, but...
Guitar.
Yeah. No, it was just really funny, and it wasn't like I was like sitting around missing it, but like towards the end of it, I started being like, wow, I would really like to play some guitar. And then we were like working on the song with Sonia today, and you know, we were doing kind of it's funny, I keep having this discussion with people, but we were like just sitting there like playing through the song, like we're going to put it in the computer in a second and mess with it, but we're just like, and I was just like, just kept saying to her, I just like, oh my gosh, I miss playing guitar. Like, it's just like, and it wasn't even like ripping leads or anything.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, oh.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to take you away from your guitar again next month.
Yeah, that's true. I will be away from guitar.
It's going to be all my fault, and it's going to be longer than you were just away from guitar.
I know. I'll have to play a lot to get ready.
You're going to cram this month. So we are going to New Zealand.
It's coming up fast. Yeah, we talked about that.
It's about a month from now.
Yeah, and boy, I do have a lot of work to do before we get there. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
You know, we've got, you know, I did that song for Sonia today, you know, which to tangent it, and I was talking to another client about doing an EP. We're going to do a 5-song EP this spring. And we were talking about different ways to do it. And, you know, there is a lot. It's sort of a little bit. We went back and re-recorded some stuff, and it wound up taking forever because of budget. But there is something to let's put 3 or 4 hours on the calendar and just be like, we're going to do this song in 3 or 4 hours. It's what You Don't Want My Love, where we sat down and just were like, let's just get this song up on its feet. Mm-hmm. Maybe we go back and re-record vocals. Maybe we whatever. But like, let's just say in 3 or 4 hours we're going to get this thing up, and that's going to be the thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what Sonia and I do a lot. Where you know, and occasionally we go back and we go, that lead vocal didn't really hold up to snuff, or we want to add some background vocals or whatever. But the goal is always in 4-ish hours to be like, that's the song. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'll go back and do a final pass on mixing and mastering and stuff when we're done. But the idea is, you know, and there you can create such real vibe when you're just trying to like, this is all we're doing today, and we're doing it today. So, you know, it's great for cutting down on all those. Maybe this, maybe that. Maybe we'll kick the decision down the road, and we'll leave it like this, but we don't really. We're gonna go like, nope, we're deciding.
Yeah. Yeah,
and there's a lot good about that.
There's a great energy to working that way.
There's a lot of energy and creativity to that, and kind of like we were talking in one of our last podcasts, where mistakes get made. You cut and paste something weird, and you're like, you know what? Actually, that's cooler than what I meant to do. Go with it. Don't think about it.
Yeah.
You know, so it was really fun. But you know, gosh, we've got that and another EP coming up, and the Ivicac EP coming up,
and it
is getting busy.
You're working 7 days a week till we leave.
Yeah, which I do need to, because I don't know how else I'm getting stuff done. Yeah, it's got to be wild.
This was the most important thing, so why didn't I say it at the beginning? Well, more important than you coming home? Maybe not.
That's why I wasn't sure you'd remember.
Shanti and I had a lot of fun without you. I got so many cuddles the last 2 weeks.
I bet it was just
hours and hours
non-stop.
of cuddles.
Yeah.
And playing with the string and playing with the laser pointer. Anyway, so, you know, I described how this time of year is sort of a reset for me and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I don't do resolutions anymore, but I usually make some sort of plan. I think about which direction I'm going in and what my energy is going to go toward. And I don't usually make myself do it. I usually just behave like a sloth for a few days, and then the energy rises, and then I want to do it. It took a long time this time. It took like over a week before I felt like any energy. Right. But when I did, I got this vision about how I want to expand Performance High, and why wait, and I should just do it. But the vision kind of came clear to me. Like, I saw it as if it's real, rather than just making some big ambitious plan. The point is, I decided to expand Performance High, last week or something, and then I came clear with a vision for it like 3 days ago. And 2 days ago, no, today, Kristen called me and said, we have a place to teach in Fort Collins now.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's how fast it happened. We now have a Fort Collins location. It's temporary, but we're pretty sure we know where we're going to go when it becomes permanent. So it's her house. She's moving to Fort Collins.
Okay.
Kristen is moving to Fort Collins.
Oh,
by the end of this month. That's how quickly things are happening. So
Yeah.
she's going to spearhead that. She's going to be moving into a large house that has a music room right inside the front door.
Oh,
it's
cool.
owned by her good friend of forever, who is also a music teacher. So we're going to just launch the business up there out of a house. And I am going up there on Saturday to meet the guy who is converting an old Elks Lodge in Loveland into a music venue and creative space.
That's going to be super cool. I knew about that, but I didn't know about the Fort Collins thing.
Yeah, no, because it just happened today.
Because that's how fast it's happening.
Yeah, I had put Fort Collins on our website, like, kind of to help, maybe draw some people to the waiting list. And then, like, 2 days later, Kristen's like, okay, we got a place. It's only a matter of time. So I also put West Denver on our website. I don't know if that's going to be Golden, Morrison, Lakewood, Littleton, something on the west side. But I put it up there. I was like, it's only a matter of time. Probably a month or two. I don't know. Just putting it out there. I think things will come through. So Performance is growing. Man, we have grown so much this year. I mean, I follow a lot of KPIs, key performance indicators. So I follow a lot of like important stats for the business. Obviously, I own the business. Not just like how much money is coming in, but like how many clients do we have? What's our average client per spend? The average amount each client spends per month. How many lesson hours do we teach each month? I mean, all kinds of things like that. One of the most impressive ones is we went from 111 students in January last year to 183 students in December of last year.
That's a huge move up.
Huge move up.
Yeah.
And it accelerated near the end of the year. So it was like this. So watch out. And
it usually falls were always busy, but you got a bit of a drop off, and it just did not seem to.
December was even busy.
Yeah.
And get this, December had a lot of inquiries in spite of the fact that Google Ads, the ad bot or whatever, found some malware on our website and ceased serving our ads for all of December.
Oh my gosh.
I only paid like $100 in ads, and that was at the very end of December.
Wow.
Yeah, it happens all the time. But I found and removed the malware, the little code snippet that had been injected somewhere, and we resubmitted to Google, and the ads are running again now. But so we got that great December without even advertising. It's crazy. Like, the future is pretty bright.
That's so great.
On that note, we should probably wrap. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
this will be a little shorter one with edits, but we're going to be back with more, and we just really appreciate, first one of 2023.
Yeah.
And we just appreciate that people are actually watching this. And,
it's good to stay in touch with you guys this way.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
See you guys next week.